What is a hobby? For most of us, it is the things that we do in our free time to derive specifically pleasure from the activity itself. We're not trying to make money off of it. We're not trying to do it for any other reason besides doing the activity itself. But I think that's a concept that has eluded me for a long time. I think growing up, I felt that anything that I did had to have some sort of value attached to it. I had to either be getting good grades out of it, I had to make money off of it, or I had to be increasing my social status through it somehow. I think even the things that I found enjoyable, like reading or playing sports, I tended to have these habits of trying to impress people with those hobbies. I would often take heavy novels to school just so that I could be seen by my peers to be doing something impressive. I thought being able to read this thick book was pretty impressive and other people would think of me as more intellectual. Even if I was getting good grades, it didn't really matter. I think I wanted other people to see that I was someone who could read. When I was playing sports, if someone happened to walk by, I would do something that would try to be more impressive. If I was playing basketball, I would try to do an impressive layup. If I was playing squash, I would try to do drills that seemed more impressive. And I think this followed me throughout most of my life, where whenever I had some form of hobby or something that I liked, somehow, somewhere, something would creep into it which would make me want to do it for increasing my social status. And I think that combined with my mentality of trying to always be productive, always be producing things of value to other people, to myself financially at least, made it so that I started to think of hobbies as things that I really couldn't pursue because they wouldn't really increase my bank balance. They wouldn't give me any more social status. So what was the point of even doing them? And I think as a man, I've put certain responsibilities on myself, whether it's because of society, my parents, or religion, whatever the reason might be, that I in fact do value. But it makes me then think of not doing or pursuing anything without any form of social status gain, which would inevitably lead to financial gain or just financial gain by itself. If you take a look on the internet and search for hobbies to do, you're inevitably going to find articles or videos talking about hobbies specifically for men. And those hobbies are actually categorized as things that men can do to be more aesthetic, to be more appealing to other people. Not for the sake of the hobby itself, but because there's an end goal of being more appealing, and that would inevitably raise your social status, that would hopefully inevitably give you more money. Why would I, or any man who has thought of those responsibilities as their own, want to do any form of hobby that doesn't necessarily provide any value to their inevitable goals? And for the longest time, I thought this way. And I think there were some things that I just wasn't thinking of. Why do we want to form good habits? And more than that, why do we end up failing so miserably when we try and form those habits? When we think of habits, or at least good habits, we think of those small things that we can do in our life to improve our lives, improve ourselves. We think we can make ourselves better 1% every day, and that will compound on itself throughout the year and make us a lot better than who we are currently. But what does it actually mean to be better? A lot of us try to develop habits of waking up early and going to the gym with the hope that it will make us better, but our true intentions are down the line we will be able to make more money off of that. And the reason we tend to fail at these habits is because we don't see immediate results with them. We don't see our bank balance start to go up just because we started waking up early or just because we started going to the gym. And then because we don't see that value, we tend to promote ourselves on social media doing these habits for the sole purpose that if we can't derive immediate financial value out of it, maybe we can increase our social status by showing the world that we are the type of people who do this. We are disciplined, we are confident, and we are willing to do whatever it takes to make ourselves better. And I think hobbies are very similar to habits in that way. Take hiking, for example. A lot of people, including myself, love hiking. And it could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be because you love hiking with your friends and you like the social aspect of it. It could be because you like to go individually and connect with nature and you find that very peaceful, very calming to yourself. But there are benefits that hiking as a lifestyle hobby tend to bring that we don't immediately start to see. We start to develop discipline and consistency in being able to manage our time, to wake up early, to go for those morning hikes. We start to become more determined when we challenge ourselves with those hikes. And those are the things that we actually try and go and search for throughout our lives. We're searching for how to become more disciplined. We're searching for how to become more determined. We're searching for how to problem solve. All these things are things that this hobby brings you. But because it isn't bringing you those effects immediately, you might not even be able to associate those effects with that hobby. But that hobby is actively bringing those things in your life. And why do we search for those things? It's because we think that those things will help us become more valuable members of society. We think that they will help us lead more meaningful lives and be able to generate financial wealth that we can use to support our families. But you might ask whether there's other things that could help you gain those same attributes, but also make you money at the same time. But when we look for those things that will help us make money as well, we are inevitably looking for things that will stress us out. That's not a bad thing, that's just a matter of fact. We might love doing what we do. I know I love being a software engineer and I really enjoy it. But because you are doing those things for an external benefit, you will inevitably generate stress from it. And stress to me isn't really a bad thing. I think I find stress very useful, especially when I'm trying to reach the finish line of a certain goal. But this notion that hobbies can help you de-stress seems a little bit too nebulous and abstract. What does that even mean, that hobbies can help you de-stress? And why do you even need to de-stress? So I went a little bit deeper into what stress is. And I think for me, stress was always about something that happens mentally. But what stress actually is an internal response of your body to an external factor. So if you are stressed, it means your brain has recognized something that generates that stress, and then your brain tells your body to generate hormones that will help you deal with that stress. And that's where we see the fight or flight response, where your heart might start pumping faster and your blood is being diverted away from things that might not be needed at that time, such as your digestive system. And we need that stress to be able to deal with those situations. But what happens when that stress is persistently high? What happens when you don't have anything to de-stress you? What happens when you are constantly in search for money, in search for ways to make more money to be able to raise your social status? Well, let me ask you this. What happens when you're driving a car and you press your foot to the pedal and you keep that pedal pressed consistently? You speed up, you accelerate, you see the power of the car accelerating you. Let's forget about how long the roads are or how many other cars are on the road. You feel that you're able to do things. You feel that thrill of being able to go fast. But having your foot pressed to the pedal so often and so consistently will inevitably lead your car to break down. And unlike cars, our parts can't be easily replaced. And that's exactly what happens when you have a continuous amount of stress in your body. You start developing conditions that will lead to your body being broken down. You won't be able to sleep properly. You will consistently have higher blood pressure that will lead to even more health issues down the line. So hobbies need to be a way to be able to de-stress so we are able to pursue our goals in other factions of life. But to be able to do that, we need to make sure our hobbies follow certain rules that we shouldn't really break if we want to continue to pursue them and use them as forms of happiness. Number one, we should try to measure our growth in our hobby. People enjoy hobbies because they sense a feeling of mastery in that realm. We feel like we're getting better at something, and that actually makes us like it even more and want to pursue it even more. But it's really important that you have that measure of progress rely on yourself and not on anyone else. If you start looking for validation from other people, if you start using social media as a proxy of how well you're doing in your hobby, if you start using likes on social media to tell you if you're doing well in photography, for example, then you're going to start to develop stress because your measure of how good you are in your hobby isn't really tied to yourself anymore. Now you're letting other people influence how you measure yourself in the thing that was meant purely for you, for yourself, for your happiness. Number two, find happiness in your hobbies without really relying on if other people are watching or not. If you go hiking, for example, and you love going hiking by yourself, you don't need to be able to share that with the rest of the world to enjoy that experience of hiking. You can go and come back without having anyone else involved in that process. You don't even have to share it on social media. Sure, if you want to find a community, there are other ways to go about doing that. But by including other people in an activity that you enjoy doing by yourself, you're never going to end up finding happiness. And that's actually one of the reasons why when I make videos about photography, for example, I started to realize that I really didn't like making videos while I was actually taking the photos, because it would distract me from the process that I love about photography, which is the process of taking photos. I would be worried about what I'm going to say at this time. I would be worried about sharing my photos at that time when I'm trying to take the photo. And it was just distracting myself, and I wasn't coming back with the photos that I liked. I wasn't coming back fulfilled from my photography. Number three, never ever let it feel like work. If you feel pressure to go and do the things that you find happiness in doing, that means you're starting to treat it like work. It's okay if you don't pursue your hobby every single day. You just have to ensure that you have some level of consistency in doing it, but only do it when you have the desire to go and do it. And that's why it's also good to have multiple hobbies, because you might feel like doing one thing over another at different points of time. But if there's ever a time when you do want to start to make money off of your hobby because you feel like, for example, you're into woodcrafting and you want to be able to sell the things that you make, then you will need to have something else to fall back on as a hobby. Because once you start making money off of it, once you start bringing it into that realm, it will no longer be your hobby. It will be something that will bring you more stress at some point. And you will still need something to go back to de-stress yourself. So have something else as a backup to make sure that you're able to go to it to find happiness that don't have anything to do with anyone else or making money. I wanted to make this video because recently I felt that there was a lot of pressure for me and men like me to create and make and produce a lot, to be able to always be making money or thinking of making money so that we can be able to provide. And I've fallen into this trap a lot, so I wanted to kind of figure out a way to navigate that. And I hope this video helped you realize why hobbies are so important in your life, whether or not it's thought of as something conventionally cool or if it could make you money. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to try and make more videos about topics like this because I think I've been thinking a lot about these types of things and I want to be able to share that with all of you as well. All right, I'll see you next time.